Hello, everyone. How is it going? Welcome to another episode of the live chat. It's April 15th, 2020. It's been a bit of a slow news week, so I'm not sure how long the chat's going to go today, but there are a few things we can definitely talk about. As always, drop those questions on the side, drop those comments on the side. A few of the things we can talk about today, of course, Resident Evil 3 Remake has shipped 2 million units in its first 5 days. It's a pretty darn good launch. We can talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake. We have a little bit of data coming in for that now out of countries in Europe. There's some data out of the UK. We have our first look at some of the data coming out of Germany. So there's a little bit we can talk about there in regards to how Final Fantasy VII Remake's doing. We can talk about a little bit of our opinions on the game. I'd like to talk a little bit on what I'm thinking about it. Would be very curious for those of you that are playing it, how you feel about the game. And the other thing we can talk about is Amazon France just went crazy and listed like 100 games that clearly are not real. Whenever this first started, I was thinking, oh man, some of this is pretty interesting, right? They were showing like Days Gone. As soon as the second one went up, as soon as it was like Persona 5, that's when I was like, oh, okay, something is not right here. And then we had like 20 more games all listed. So I don't know if they were hacked or what, but we can talk about that. And of course, whatever else you guys want to talk about, just drop those questions on the side, drop those comments on the side. They don't have to be about those topics. It can be whatever topic you want, but let's get going. Wow, Split End already dropping a super chat right off the bat. Thank you, Split N89, saying, hey, Benji, just want to say you rock. That is incredibly kind, Split N89. Thank you very much for the super chat. It's incredibly appreciated. Thank you so much. All right, let's start diving into these questions and comments. Thanks, everyone, for jumping into a chat, by the way. Raven Hunter saying, hey, what's up? What is up, Raven Hunter? Moist and Delicious. Bro, I like how this shitstorm. I found out Daniel Ahmed blocked me on Twitter. Oh, man. What did you do, Moist and Delicious? What did you do? It could be something minor. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I block people sometimes, too, and using the block button is kind of weird. I used to, back whenever I was on forums, I would never block anyone. It was like kind of a mantra I went by. Nowadays, I do use that block button, but I try to use it rarely. I try to use it rarely. My block list for the amount of followers I have, which I'm not like a giant person with following, but I have a decent one. I think it's pretty small, considering the scale. Really, the only reason I will block people is if they personal attacks, if someone's personally attacking me. I'm just not a fan of that. Or if they're just always being negative on my feed. Those are the only two reasons. So I'm sorry, Moist and Delicious. Hate to hear that. I do. It's a bummer that Daniel blocked you. The odds of being blocked by me, I'll tell you, are very low. Just avoid those two things and you won't get blocked ever on Twitter. No personal attacks, and don't just be constantly negative. Those are the only two reasons I block people. All right, GC2F guy saying, hey, Benji, how are you? I'm doing good, GC2F guy. Thanks for being here. Hope you're doing good, too. I'm doing well. Raven Hunter, what's your thoughts about Resident Evil 4 Remake news and speculation? Oh, great question. I wasn't even thinking about that. That information came out since the last live chat. So, yes. For those of you that haven't seen, I'm sure everyone here in the chat has, but Capcom is apparently remaking Resident Evil 4. Now, the rumors state that it's going to be coming in 2022. And that we've had previous rumors that Resident Evil 8 is going to be 2021. And then if you look back, we just had Resident Evil 3 Remake. The year before that, we had Resident Evil 2 Remake. So it seems very clear that Capcom is like set on making Resident Evil a yearly franchise. Every single year, it seems like, if this is true, that it's going to be, Resident Evil 8 next year and then Resident Evil 4 the year after that. Capcom, it looks like they are doing, dead set on Resident Evil being a yearly franchise. So first, let's talk about that, and then I'll talk about Resident Evil 4. I think it's an interesting decision and one that could be risky. So Resident Evil's gotten into a very good spot generally lately. If you remember back, towards the tail end of last generation, like when Resident Evil 6 was coming out and stuff, Resident Evil was kind of in like a weird spot. People were kind of, I feel like, starting to like turn a little cold on the franchise. And now like you've seen this big resurgence, Resident Evil 7 in general, I feel like was really well liked. Of course, there's going to be a few people that didn't like it, but in general, I feel like people really enjoyed Resident Evil 7. And then Resident Evil 2 Remake was just outstanding. I thought it was incredible. I haven't played Resident Evil 3 Remake yet, but it seems to be getting mostly good impressions from what I've been seeing on my Twitter feed. Most people that have played it seem to like it. So it's like, I feel like Resident Evil right now is in a good spot. I think it's a bit of a risk, though, making it every single year, because I feel like all it takes is one or two misses. Let's say they have like, I'm not anticipating Resident Evil 8 being bad. In fact, I'm like really excited for it. And Resident Evil 4 will probably be good too, but you don't know, right? So it's like, man, if you're doing it every single year, all it takes is one or two of these games being bad and it being a yearly thing. Like, oh man, like, we got a game we didn't really like this year. And then the next year, another one, it could really set Resident Evil back off the rails. So I think it's risky. I kind of get why Capcom's doing it, because Resident Evil 7 sold great. Resident Evil 2 Remake sold outstanding. I think it's up to, if I'm remembering right, I think it's over 7 million copies now shipped. I think it's like 7.5 million. That's like amazing. For a horror game, I mean, that is like outstanding numbers. So I kind of get why Capcom wants to do this, because Resident Evil's so on fire right now. But it's risky. It is risky turning it yearly. In regards to like Resident Evil 4 Remake, I'm excited for it. I didn't feel it was necessary, because Resident Evil 4 has been ported like a million times. You can basically get Resident Evil 4 on every console, it feels like. And then also that game's not super old, right? It came out, I mean, it's old, but it's somewhat modern. Some of the controls and stuff nowadays might feel a little archaic, but it's not like, let's say, Resident Evil 2 was, right? Or Resident Evil 3, where these were very old games that made a lot of sense to remaster. So I'm excited for it, Raven Hunter. I didn't think it was necessary, but I'm not one of these people that are dead set against it either. I'm excited for it. The main thing I'm curious about, though, is making Resident Evil yearly. That's the thing I'm kind of like, ooh, we'll see how this goes. GC2F guy, do you think... sorry, I scrolled down and lost your question. Do you think PS5 will sell better than Xbox Series X? GC2F guy, right now, very preliminary. We're so early on. We don't have near enough info. I'm going to say yes, GC2F guy. I do expect globally, especially if we're talking about like worldwide sales, I do expect PlayStation 5 to outsell Xbox Series X. But the thing I'll say on top of that is that I do think Series X is going to sell a lot better than Xbox One did. Xbox One's going to finish probably somewhere around 50 million sales. Could be a little less, somewhere I would say between 45 and 50 million like shipped. That's probably right where Xbox One's going to finish at. It's already over, it's in that range. So it's probably going to finish 45 to 50 million in sales. I think Series X will probably do a lot better for a couple of reasons. A, leading into the Series X, people are a lot more, I feel a lot more excitement for it than I felt for the Xbox One. If you remember the lead up to the Xbox One, it was, in terms of marketing and messaging for Microsoft, it was kind of a disaster. I mean, you had Don Matrick, who was at the time was in charge of Xbox, telling people they didn't need to buy an Xbox One, go buy an Xbox 360. That is not the kind of thing you want to be telling people. You had all this confusion about what was going to be going on with physical games. It was just bad. It just leading into the Xbox One, you had like the reveal 2, where it was all, you remember all the memes where it was TV, sports, right? That was like a big meme at the time, because like the reveal almost seemed to care more about talking about what the Xbox One was going to do with like TV than it was about games. So it was just bad. Like leading into the Xbox One, the messaging was not good. I feel like the Series X is the exact opposite. I see a lot more excitement for it. I see a lot more people like energized, like, wow, Microsoft does seem to be in a lot better spot in terms of their thinking for the console. And then also you just had, Microsoft the last few years go on that buying spree, buying a ton of studios, which I think is going to pay off next gen. So I think PS5, if I was going to make a prediction right now, I do think it's outsells Series X globally because PlayStation's such a strong brand in Europe and so much stronger in Japan than Xbox. US could be close. I think the US market could be a bit of a toss-up, actually. A lot of people don't realize because PlayStation 4 has outsold the Xbox One so much worldwide. In the US, it's still actually kind of close. Don't get me wrong, PlayStation 4 has like a good lead on the Xbox One, but it's actually nothing like the 360 compared to the PS3, where the 360 greatly outsold the PS3. It was not even close. In the US, actually, Xbox One is somewhat competitive with PS4. So I think US could be pretty close between the two. But globally, yes, I would still favor PlayStation 5 to sell more units. I think that's the more likely scenario. Because, like I said, just to finish that off, Microsoft would have to, have some huge gains in other markets to catch up. Because, like the deficit we're going to be talking about in Japan, that's millions and millions of consoles that they'd have to make up ground somewhere else. It just seems unlikely. All right. Moist and Delicious saying, doing well, doing great. I hope you're doing good as well. Practical Bro, Sega has already said that Persona 5 listing is an error. Yeah, absolutely. So this seemed, whenever they first put up Days Gone, I actually thought it might be real. So for those that haven't seen, Amazon France just went like on a posting rampage. They just, tons of games started getting listed for seemingly no reason. I don't know if they were hacked or if someone there like messed up something, but they started listing tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of games that aren't on PC for PC. But basically, when this very first popped up and it was Days Gone, I was like, this actually like makes sense. I don't think that's a crazy thing to think, because whenever you look at Horizon Zero Dawn, why is Horizon Zero Dawn going to be on PC? I think part of it is because of Death Stranding. I think that made it like an easy game because Decima engine had to get ported to PC anyways in order to get Death Stranding on there, right? It uses the same engine as Horizon. So if Sony wanted to do an experiment, which is what I think Horizon is, I think Horizon's an experiment for Sony. That was like the easiest game to get there. They're like, hey, we already did all this work getting Decima engine running on PC well. Let's throw Horizon on Steam. Let's see how it sells. Let's see what the feedback is, and we'll go from there. That's what I think is going on with Horizon. Well, then when you look at Days Gone, that's on Unreal Engine, right? Which also, of course, works very well on PC. So it was one of those things when I saw it, I was like, okay, this makes sense. I could see this happening. It's an engine that already works great on PC. It probably wouldn't be super difficult to port over. So yeah, I thought it might be real. Then the minute I saw Persona 5 Royale, anyone that knows Atlas knows for some seemingly unknown reason, because Sony does not publish Persona, they are like dead set on the mainline Persona, the numbered Persona games. Those are PlayStation games. For some reason, there's something going on there. Atlas likes it to be on there. They don't put it on PC. They don't put it on other consoles. They'll put like the spinoffs, but not like the mainline numbered Persona games. So as soon as I saw Persona 5 Royal, I was like, I don't know about this. Then you started seeing The Last of Us Part 2, Uncharted Collection, like all Gran Turismo Sport. And then I was like, yeah, this is fake. Something is not real here. So yeah, clearly someone at Amazon France messed up bad. Musad Muhammad, hey Benji, do you think Final Fantasy VII will teach God of War Spider-Man reach God of War Spider-Man sales numbers for Sony? Oh man, that's a great question, Musad. So let's go into this a little bit because we actually have a little bit of data now out of Europe. I can expand on it a little bit, but I'm not going to go into any hardcore details at all because that stuff is NDA. So no in-depth details on a few other things, but I can expand the conversation slightly, but that's it, slightly. So in the UK, we saw physical sales decline quite a bit from Final Fantasy 15. In fact, it sold basically half of what Final Fantasy 15 sold at launch in the UK. Couple things to note there. Final Fantasy 15 was a Tuesday release, while Final Fantasy VII Remake was a Friday release. So it had less days of tracking, which of course is going to affect it. The bulk of your sales, like at launch, are really in those first 2 days. So I wouldn't say like all of a sudden, oh, physical sales would have doubled if it launched on Tuesday. Definitely not. But, more days of tracking you have, obviously, the more you can sell. So A, that will impact it a little bit. B, though, the bigger issue here is extreme shortages on Final Fantasy VII Remake Physical, and it's happening worldwide. It's happening in the U.S. I can speak to that 100%. You are seeing big shortages in the U.S. on the physical game, and also lots of reports out of Europe, as well as the physical games being hard to find. Sounds like Japan might not be as bad of an issue, so we'll see what the Japanese numbers look like, but it sounds like Japan physical was kind of okay, which makes sense. That Square Enix's home market. That's where the company's out of. So it makes sense Japan kind of would have gotten some priority there. But at least for the US and Europe, big physical shortages. So what does that mean? It means digital is really high. I can't expand on that other than telling you it is. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. Digital percentage is extremely, extremely high for Final Fantasy VII Remake, especially for the genre. JRPGs do well digitally, but they're not like primarily digital, right? Traditionally, JRPGs do really well physical because JRPG fans are really hardcore. They get like collector's editions. They like to have steel books. They like to have that physical copy. By and large, JRPGs do really strong physical, but Final Fantasy VII Remake, without any expansion on that, digitally is showing some huge numbers. So to answer the question, though, Musad, what do I think it'll reach God of War or Spider-Man numbers? I don't think so, especially not Spider-Man. Spider-Man's, probably on its way to eventually doing like 20 million sales, especially if it gets like a PS5 port, enhancements. I don't expect Final Fantasy VII Remake to hit anywhere near 20 million. I don't think so. God of War, it might get closer to. So God of War is somewhere over 10 million. I could see Final Fantasy VII actually probably getting close to 10 million eventually. I could see that, but I don't know for sure. So right now, to answer that, Mohammed, I'll say no to Spider-Man. I do not anticipate it hitting Spider-Man numbers. God of War, potentially. It might be possible. We really need to see that Square Enix PR for launch to give us a better idea. We know Final Fantasy 15 shipped 5 million units day one. Day one globally, it shipped, not sold through, shipped 5 million copies on its first day. So we need to see what Final Fantasy VII's launch looks like, I would say, to know for sure. But right now, no to Spider-Man, maybe to God of War, but probably not, I would say. I would say probably still even a little bit less than God of War. Carlos, Super Mario Odyssey was listed also. That's hilarious. Yeah, anyone who thought that Amazon thing might be real, that would be an immediate red flag. There is no chance Mario Odyssey is coming to PC. At least not now. Who knows? Maybe in like 30 years, Nintendo will like change their stance. But right now, clearly that's not coming. GC2F guy. Do you think they will give us Red Dead 2 on PS5? I definitely think so, GC2F guy. I fully expect that you will see Red Dead 2 get some enhancements on the PlayStation 5, just like Grand Theft Auto got on current gen, right? Clearly, Red Dead's not as big as Grand Theft Auto 5, but it's still huge. I mean, Red Dead 2 is still a massive game by any other standards. When you compare it to Grand Theft Auto, it's way smaller. But when you compare Red Dead 2 to just about any other game, it's enormous. So, GC2F guy, definitely, I think you're going to get Red Dead 2 enhanced on PS5. I would actually literally bet money on that. I'm that confident in it. Makes sense. Rockstar's not going to have another game like a big game like that for a few more years still, probably another probably at least 3 more years until you see it. So yeah, definitely Red Dead 2 will be enhanced. Jaffe Taffy, they listed the PS5 for PC. Okay, someone's trolling. Someone's trolling them. That's not just someone at Amazon having an error. That is a troll. Someone they were either hacked or they have an employee that's not happy, like one or the other. Because if you're listed the PS5 for PC, something's going crazy. Eric, happy isolation day number 28. Eric, I hope you're holding up well in isolation. I am not isolated. I work essential retail, so I've been going to work still every single day, trying to take the right precautions, trying to wear masks when I can, trying to wear gloves basically every single day. So I'm still out there every day with the public. But I hope isolation is going well for you, Eric, and anyone else. Anyone that's in isolation right now, I know that's not easy either. It might be fun for a couple days, but once you hit, like Eric's here, number 28, I got to imagine that starts to get pretty boring. Carnage Ghost. Hello, Benji. You shocked me when you said this gen is almost done and only 6 games are available for pre-order on PSN. I thought third parties would support PS4 at least until 2022. I guess not. Yeah, let me clarify that actually, Carnage Ghost, because I had a couple people comment on that. Let me expand on what I meant there. So whenever I was saying this gen's almost done, what I meant is that the gen's almost done in terms of being the focus of the market. We're really close to that. It's literally the day PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X launch, and actually even a little bit before that, because once you talk about marketing plans, that is going to be the industry focus. You're still going to see definitely some cross-platform games, or cross-gen, definitely through 2021. 2022, that might be a little tough. You might see a couple. I think probably like sports games and Call of Duty maybe through 2022, but I definitely think by the time you hit 2022, you're going to see a lot of next-gen exclusive games because you're going to be pretty deep into the generation there, and the install base is going to be getting pretty big. But definitely through 2021, I would anticipate the vast majority of the big third-party games are probably going to be cross-gen. What I meant when I was saying that, Carnage Ghost, was I was saying the end of this generation being the focus, the marketing, the talking point is basically wrapped up. And that the reason there's only 6 games available for pre-order right now is because of that. It's because all of these third parties want to start marketing and messaging their next gen projects, because that gets a lot of excitement from people, which results in a lot of sales. So, these companies want to shift the focus. They want to shift the talking over to next gen. So that's basically what I was talking about. They can't really put games up for pre-order or start their marketing until Sony and Xbox give the go ahead to be like, hey, we're good. Start talking next gen, start showing next gen games. So that's basically what I was saying, Carnage Ghost. Not that there's no more games coming, like, oh, the gen's completely dead. Nothing's coming. I didn't mean it like that. What I meant was we are truly at the end of this gen being the industry focus. Hope that makes more sense. Sometimes Twitter, it's so short. You can only say a few words in a very small period. Sometimes it's much easier to get everything out here than in a small Twitter post. That Practical Bro. My dream remake will be for Black from Criterion and EA. That would be cool, Practical Bro. I never played Black, and I've heard it's a very cool shooter. I've had a lot of people say that they really liked that game, so that would be cool. I've never played it, but that'd be cool. I'm really excited for Crysis. Anyone that hasn't seen the official Crysis Twitter account, which was silent for, I think, 3 years, basically didn't post a single thing for 3 years, has been teasing a new Crysis game the last 2 days. So I'm pretty excited for that. Different than Black, but it's another big shooter. How hype would a Crysis 4 is what I hope. I know some people want a remake. I hope it's Crysis 4. That would be amazing. But even a remake would be sweet. How cool would that be on next gen, pushing the graphics envelope right off the bat? Ooh, I'm excited for Crysis. All right, Zero the Silent Hero. Those trolls somehow got Mario Odyssey and the actual PS5 listed for PC. Amazing. Yeah, that is actually hilarious. Like, I ain't even mad. That is hilarious that they put that. Carlos, do you think The Last of Us 2 will launch before September? It's a great question, Carlos. So for those that have seen, back to Amazon again, but this time I think it was Amazon US, put the new date for The Last of Us 2 as June 26th, I think, the same day as Ghost of Tsushima. I think it's the end of June. I think it was the 26th, but I can't remember. I don't think that's legit. I think that's and then I heard they pulled the date down quick. So it could be, but I don't think it is. For a couple of reasons. A, it would be weird to release that and Ghost of Tsushima on the same day. That makes no sense. I cannot imagine Sony would ever do anything like that because you're going to cannibalize Ghost of Tsushima. So first of all, that. Then you would say, well, maybe Ghost is delayed. It'd be weird, though, to do Last of Us on the exact day you were going to do Ghost and then delay Ghost to another. It just feels weird to do it that way. And then B, also, that's only a month after the original release date for The Last of Us. So it does feel weird that you would go through like the major effort of refunding all those pre-orders, calling an indefinite date, like that. There was some big moves made to only delay it a month. That would be surprising to me. So I think the June date's probably not true, but who knows? My guess as of now, Carlos, is I think it probably will be before September. I'm thinking probably July or August. I think they're going to keep Ghost where it's at just because you don't want to go through the hassle of delaying a whole nother game if you don't have to, because that is like a lot of work. When you delay a game, a lot's changing. Your marketing plans are changing. Your production's changing. Your messaging to fans is changing. You have to make sure that the news gets out about the new date. It's a lot of work, like a lot of work's going on. So I think Ghost, if they don't have to move it, they're not going to. I think they're going to try and keep Ghost there. So my guess is The Last of Us is going to come out shortly after it. I think if I had to guess, if I had to bet on it, I think it's probably July or more likely August. I don't think launching it with PS5 is impossible, but I think that's probably unlikely. I'm going to guess August as of now. I think that's probably the month, but we'll see. Elias Stapleton about Amazon again, listing everything to PC, PS5 to PC. Oh, man, that's hilarious. Asking me if I think it's a troll or what. Yeah, it's got to be a troll. It's got to be. I can't imagine it's an Amazon employee. Somebody somehow got in there to their database or something, because that's hilarious. Zero the Silent Hero. Does May 5th, 2020 sound like a good date for a PS5 reveal? It's a Tuesday, which we know Sony likes those random Tuesdays right now. 5/5/2020 seems to be a good number to hone in on, and those 25th anniversary vibes. They'd be very cool. I've heard, what do I say here? I don't want to say like I heard like it's anything of value, as in like a strong hint. I've seen a few people kind of suggesting that Xbox is doing something in May. I have no idea. Don't run with that as in Xbox is definitely doing something in May. It's kind of a thing I've seen kind of floating around that Microsoft may be having an event in May. Makes sense. I mean, it completely makes sense, especially since E3 is completely off now. And they're not even doing the digital E3 thing that they kind of were exploring. May make sense, right? I mean, you don't have to go in June. You're definitely not going after June. Definitely not. Especially if you're Microsoft. You are definitely not going after June. It's not going to be like July. They reveal all the Series X games. So Zero Silent Hero, I think it makes sense to do May if you're Sony, especially if Xbox is also doing May. Hopefully they're not going to be like the exact same week. I think it'd be nice to get a little bit spaced out between the announcements so we have time to digest them. I like your thinking, though, Zero the Silent Hero. 5/5/2020 makes sense. I've always said at least once it became clear that Sony weren't going to E3 and once it became clear they weren't doing the February reveal, I've always stuck with my feeling was that Sony was going to talk about PS5 games either very late April or like early May, like first half of May. So Zero the Silent Hero, I'm in the same thinking as you. Makes sense. I would bet that we're probably going to see PS5 like games and Series X games in May. Definitely makes sense. Elias Stapleton. Is that part of a two-part question? Oh, here we go. Yeah, sorry, Elias. I skipped a couple questions. Yo, what happened? I'm sorry, everyone. Here we go. Sorry, my thing scrolled past a bunch of questions. Let's go back up. Sorry to everyone whose questions you thought for a second I was skipping. Apologies. Split End 89. Are you excited for Ghost of Tsushima? Oh, yeah, I am very excited, Split End. How about those new details? Split End, I am very on board. So I like Sucker Punch in general. I really love the Infamous games. I know some people felt a little... I've seen mixed opinions about Second Son, at the PS4 Infamous. I loved it still. Delson might not have been like the coolest character ever, but I didn't hate him like some people did. I know some people like really disliked Delson. I didn't dislike him. I really thought that was one of the early PS4 games where when I was playing it, I was like, man, this is like next gen. Whenever I was playing in the city at night and they did this really nice effect of like rain-soaked puddles on the streets and like you would see the neon glow. That was one of those early PS4 games that really felt next gen to me. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Sucker Punch's work. Ghost of Tsushima looks gorgeous. I mean, I love the cinema style of it. It really evokes those vibes of like that those Japanese, samurai type films. You can clearly see that they were going for that kind of aesthetic. I'm really hyped. Split End. I think that game's going to be awesome. Elias Stapleton, Silent Hill rumors doesn't go away. Yeah, I know. I think it's happening. Do you think it's big if PS5 gets announced with a Silent Hill game as exclusive? Yeah, Elias, it does seem like the Silent Hill rumors won't die. It seemed like they were maybe sketchy after the publication that ran it. Like the more recent version of the rumors kind of went under. There was a whole bunch of drama about that online. I don't know. I'm not going to get involved with that. But apparently the website that ran that, like the rumor that blew up is no longer around. But the rumors don't stop. I'm still inclined to think it's happening. Silent Hill's a big enough franchise. I think you could bring it back and it would be really successful. So Elias, I'm going to think it's still real. Do I think it'd be big if PS5 got it exclusive? Oh, yeah, definitely. I definitely think so. Silent Hill might not be like the biggest franchise ever, but it's one of those things that can generate a lot of buzz, right? I feel like the buzz that would happen when they announce that would be really big. So I think it would be pretty big get if they got that. Elias, when do you think the PS event will happen? Yeah, I talked about that, Elias. I think it's going to be late April, seeming unlikely since we're the 15th now and we haven't heard anything about it. So I still think first half of May, Elias. First half of May is when I'm thinking. Another one from Elias. Resident Evil 4 Remake and Resident Evil 8 almost confirmed, and we still want remakes of Code Veronica, Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 0 Outbreak. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people bummed they're doing Resident Evil 4 instead of Code Veronica, but I see why Capcom's doing it because Resident Evil 4 will sell way more than Code Veronica. Code Veronica probably needs the remake more, but it wouldn't sell near what Resident Evil 4 is going to. So I kind of get why Capcom's doing it. Oga Kratos. Do you think the PS4 will get a price cut this year? When exactly? Definitely, Kratos. So at the very latest, if you push it, the very latest, it would be close to the PS5 launch. You see it price cut. I think they'll go before that, probably this summer. I think this summer it gets a price cut because by then we'll be fully into PS5 marketing cycle. We'll be fully into, it won't even be anything mystery around the PS5. We'll actually already know its launch lineup by then. We'll be seeing games for the PS5. Like the real focus is going to be on PS5. That's going to be, around or after games like Ghost of Tsushima launch. So we'll kind of have most of the big hitters released, and maybe you could time it with The Last of Us to have like one last big, huge hurrah of PS4 sales before PS5 comes out. So I'm going to guess Ogre Kratos this summer. I don't expect it before then, probably like July, August timeframe for a price cut. Carlos saying Resident Evil 7 was really cool. I agree. I loved it. I thought it was really scary. Ryan, thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Remake UK launch? Asking me what I think about digital. I actually can't go into too much detail on that, Ryan, because I know too much. I try to like dance around like hardcore NDA stuff. I can't talk about it, Ryan. I know too much about what's going on in that situation. So it's doing great. That's all I can say. Doing good. Elias Stapleton. Do you think Xbox reveal the Series X too soon? Ooh, interesting. People's looking for PS5 info like crazy. And when somebody says something like control logo breaks the internet, and right now they have the narrative, lots of posts about DualSense, etc. I don't think they revealed too early. In fact, I actually think going first like that in a big way was smart for Microsoft. I actually think it's paid off hugely. Series X excitement to me seems night and day compared to the Xbox One. I don't even think it's close. Like, I don't think it's even close. People seem way more excited about Series X than they did Xbox One. Like, night and day difference. That said, of course, PlayStation is such a juggernaut brand worldwide. I mean, they are truly a juggernaut. When you look at PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4 sales, I mean, if you look at the lifetime sales of those consoles, it's a massive brand. So it makes sense why their announcements are breaking the internet. They're a bigger brand. You know, PlayStation is a bigger brand than Xbox. So, I mean, whenever you look, the very worst Sony ever did, their worst generation, the PlayStation 3, you know, it was still, when you look at total units, I mean, it was still a high selling console. So I think it makes sense why they're breaking the internet, because they're a bigger brand. But I don't think that's a reflection that Xbox made a mistake. I think it's more just Sony is still the one with the most momentum. You know, they just are. But I think Xbox is doing well. Here we go. Now we're back to where we were earlier. Okay. Carlos saying they want the Resident Evil 4 remake to be in 2's style. You know what? Here's a controversial take. This is going to be super controversial to hardcore Resident Evil fans, but I'm going to talk about it because I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Remake right now. I hope 4 is more like a Final Fantasy VII remake than it is like a Resident Evil 2 remake. Now, I know that's going to be controversial. Hardcore Resident Evil fans are going to be upset at me probably for saying that. But Final Fantasy VII Remake has kind of changed the way I think about remakes. I kind of don't want to see these almost one-for-one remakes anymore. You know, I'm kind of over it. Final Fantasy VII made me realize, like, you can change story, you can add story, you can expand on story, and it makes it a lot more interesting. I'll be honest, I'm liking 7 Remake way more because it's not a one-for-one remake. I've played the original 7 so many times. I've seen that game. You know, I have seen that game. And yes, it would be cool to play the exact same thing with better graphics, but it's not near as exciting to me as what I'm playing with 7 Remake right now, where all the time I know the main story beats, but I'm constantly guessing at, like, oh, this is a new scenario. You know, this wasn't something that was in the original game. Or, oh, wow, like characters like Jesse, Biggs, Wedge, they're like so much more expanded and way more interesting than they ever were in the original game. I hope that they take Resident Evil 4, keep it faithful, but I want to see some new stuff. I want to see some changes. I want to see some new things, especially because that game has been ported so many freaking times. Like, it's almost like, who hasn't played that game that's at least like a Resident Evil fan? I want to see it do something a little different. You know, keep it faithful. Don't just like randomly make it completely nothing like 4. I think that would be a mistake, but I want to expand it. I want games that get remade in the future to follow more the Final Fantasy VII style than these one-for-one exact remakes. I think it's a lot more exciting when you bring new stuff to the table. All right, Elias Stapleton. And when PS5 revealed the design of the console and games, I think, this is just expanding on your previous point. Yeah, like I said, I think PS5 just has momentum. Moist and Delicious. New Crisis thoughts, or can you speculate on what the Series X and PS5 launch lineup will be? Fun question, fun 2-part question. So first, Crisis thoughts. The biggest thing that surprised me was the momentum it got. You know, Crisis was a franchise that did well, but it wasn't like this juggernaut. You know, it wasn't a Call of Duty or you know, I'm just comparing it to shooters. It wasn't like a Call of Duty or a Battlefield in terms of size, but it was one of those franchises that did well, and like the hardcore, you know, PC community and stuff really were behind it because Crytek was like really pushing visual boundaries and stuff. And then it like disappeared. There hasn't been a new game since 2013. So for 7 years, Crysis is just gone. So I was shocked that those 2 tweets, the first one did over 85,000 likes, which is a big number. And the second one, the next day, last time I looked, it was like at over 25,000 likes. So you're talking between the 2 days, it did over 100,000 likes on 2 tweets. You know, that's impressive. So it seems like people are really pumped for Crysis to come back, which is cool. I'm behind that. And I'm excited for it. As to my speculation on Series X and PS5 launch, let's go third party first. Call of Duty is definitely going to be there. We all know that. Call of Duty is going to be there at launch. Assassin's Creed Vikings is basically confirmed to be there. You know, who knows what the name's going to be. There's been fake rumors and real rumors about it, but it does seem clear it's Vikings. So Assassin's Creed Vikings is going to be there. I can't remember. Did Battlefield get delayed? I cannot remember. I think Battlefield may have caught a delay. They were hinting that it was going to be. So I'm going to go no on Battlefield. I don't think it'll be there. I'm for some reason my brain's telling me Battlefield caught a delay. So who knows? Those are the two big third parties that are definitely going to be there day one. Whole bunch of games are going to get next gen patches and releases. Cyberpunk, I think, is going to have that next gen patch at launch, considering they're already talking about it. That makes me think they're already working on it. So Cyberpunk, I expect to get, a day one patch with enhancements. I think you're probably going to see some of the big, Sony exclusives get patches right off the bat. I'm guessing you're going to see like Spider-Man, Horizon, some of these games, especially since Horizon is going to be PC enhanced anyways. They're going to be doing some of that work anyways to get it up to higher resolutions and stuff. So I think you'll see that. In terms of exclusives, my guess is that Guerrilla Games is going to have something at launch, whether that's Horizon Zero Dawn 2 or if it's the shooter game they've been working on. They have 2 games in development over there, it seems like. Horizon, clearly, obviously. And then they hired a bunch of people that have worked on first-person shooters before. So clearly there's something shooter-related going on there as well. So I think one of those is probably going to be at launch or within that launch window, like the first 3 to 6 months. I'd say Guerrilla. I think Insomniac might have Ratchet ready. It would make sense, right, to have the next Ratchet and Clank there. So I could see Insomniac having a launch game. In terms of Xbox, we know Halo Infinite, obviously. But yeah, that's a good question. What other Xbox first-party games might be ready? I'm going to guess Turn 10. I think Turn 10's game will be at launch. So probably Forza. What are we on now? Is that Forza 7? Or is it Forza 8? I can't even remember. Whatever the next mainline Forza game is, that's what I'll guess. Halo, Forza, which I know some people are going to be bummed. They're going to want more new IPs, but I think there's a lot of new IPs coming from these new studios, but maybe not at launch. What time is it? 41? We still got time. We'll still keep going for a little bit. Carnage Ghost. Another question. Do you think this pandemic will have a huge impact on many new unannounced games development cycles? Resulting in delays. And could this mean longer current gen support from third party? That's a great question and tough to answer because those games are unannounced. We have seen it impact a couple games that are already announced. You have seen a few games shift around. The Last of Us obviously being a prime example, but then you've seen it not affect some, like Cyberpunk. CD Projekt are very adamant that game is still coming out in September. The one I think that has caused a delay recently is Starfield, but I don't know if that is due to the pandemic or just something going on at Bethesda. That's a theory. They haven't confirmed anything, but I think Starfield is delayed. That was never announced for a release date, but I've talked about that before. I just kind of think Starfield's been internally delayed. My guess is that it might be affecting the development a little bit, but nothing like major. Like I don't think you're going to see Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed delayed. I think those are still going to be launch games. Dead Sheep in Woods. Interesting name. Which unannounced but rumored, this is fun, next gen game are you most excited for on any platform? You're awesome, man. All the best. Thanks, Dead Sheep. That's a very nice comment, but that's a fun question too. Unannounced but rumored next gen game. This is tough. I'll say one that I'm definitely excited for is whatever. I'll ignore the obvious ones, like of course, like Horizon Zero Dawn 2. That would definitely be up there, but like that's a game like everyone obviously knows is coming. Like it's without a doubt the next God of War. I'm really excited for that, but I'm not going to talk about that because we all know, like, duh, this game is coming. Those are very obvious ones. So I'll ignore that. I'll say I'm excited for whatever Remedy's working on. That publishing agreement they have with Epic Games, which is going to be on PC and next gen. I really love Alan Wake and I really loved Control. I loved both of those games. So whatever game Remedy's cooking up right now, whether that's Control 2 or in my dreams, another Alan Wake game, I think it's probably Control 2. But whatever they're working on, Remedy's game is going to be way up there for me on excitement levels. Some of the other rumored stuff, Silent Hill, of course, I'm a huge horror fan. Resident Evil 8, I'm a huge horror fan. So that would be a few, I would say, off the top of my head. Really excited for those. I'm less excited for the Blue Point game if it's Demon Souls as some people. And I know that's going to sound crazy. I love the Dark Souls games, like literally love Dark Souls. And Sekiro I thought was cool. I didn't love it as much as other people, but I liked it. But I have played a lot of Souls games, so Souls is less exciting to me than some people. I totally get why the hype for a Demon Souls remake is through the roof, but just personally for me, that's not like super high. But yeah, I would say Resident Evil 8, Silent Hill, and Remedy's next game. All right, KH, Joe Benji, the crazy trooper from Germany here, who was awake at 4:30 the last time. Yeah, heck yeah, K, you rock. Could you announce the upcoming live chats also on YouTube? I don't use other Twitter, Facebook, Instagram would be nice. So I actually did for this chat, Kay. I don't know if you saw it, and I don't know if I did it right. I've never done a community post, but I tried to post it an hour before I started the stream, Kay. So I hope you saw that this time. I'm going to try and do that regularly, at least an hour, hopefully sometimes even more so. But I'm going to try and announce on YouTube because I sometimes forget that. Like my YouTube followers aren't all the exact same as my Twitter. You know, it's easy for me to just assume that if you follow me here on YouTube, you follow me on Twitter, but that's not true, right? Because they're different platforms. But sometimes I think that way, especially because my Twitter is a lot bigger. So I kind of just assume, oh, my YouTube audience and my Twitter audience are the same, but they're definitely not. So, Kay, I'm going to try and be doing better to announce at least an hour before the stream starts. Domdon950. Hey, Benji, any early predictions for console and software monthly sales with NPD and such? Ooh, that's fun. Switch, I expect to be the best-selling platform all the way through the year until we hit next-gen launch. I would expect Switch to be every single month the leader, except for maybe the Last of Us launch. Maybe. That's the 1 month that I think Sony might be able to edge Switch, depending on if the Switch has, not any major new releases that month, and maybe if Sony like times a price drop with it. I could see Sony taking that month. But besides that, I'm going to say Switch should be the number one seller every month. And software monthly sales, that's tough because it's going to just vary, month by month. I used to be like really active with every month making predictions, even here on YouTube. Like I did a lot of that prediction stuff. And I actually had, I stepped away from doing that a little bit. I still talk about it on Twitter sometimes and stuff, but yeah, I don't do the hardcore predictions like how I used to. And I think part of that is because the market's been a lot less exciting. It was more fun when it was like, the industry was super active and you didn't quite know how things were going to slot in. Like we've settled into this very stagnant market where Switch is basically the leader every single month, which is awesome. Like the sales numbers are amazing, but it's not super interesting to rank PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch because we kind of know how that's going to go. And games have been not super exciting this year. We've had a couple now. We've had Resident Evil, Animal Crossing, and Final Fantasy, but so many games got like delayed and stuff. Like January was dead, February was dead. So yeah, I haven't been doing as many predictions. Mr. PIDF. I just read in the Washington Post that Amazon was going to close distribution in France. Oh, really? A weird coincidence. That's crazy. I didn't know that. That's big for France, right? No Amazon there. Crazy. Moist and Delicious. Yeah, the listing was made by French Pro Xbox trolls. Oh, that's funny. You can view the evidence on Reset Era and Twitter. That is funny. So we actually know who was behind it. It was Pro Xbox trolls. That's actually kind of hilarious. They went through a lot of effort to do that. That's funny. Blackfire, especially because there's like no harm in it really, right? They were just messing around doing like random weird listings. If they were writing like bad stuff, crappy people, then it wouldn't be. In fact, they were just doing dumb, like funny PC ports. I think that's foul. Blackfire 5611. Do you think Final Fantasy VII Part 2 will go down in sales with the directions it's heading, or do you think it may go up? I can't talk about that Blackfire because I haven't beat it. I've heard the end is super controversial. I haven't beat it yet. No one drop any spoilers. I haven't beat it yet. I'm on chapter 9. I've heard it's controversial. The ending is super weird. So I don't know. I can talk about that more after I beat the game. After I beat it, I actually think I'm going to do a spoiler chat just around this game because depending on how controversial the ending is, because I want to know what other people are thinking. All right, Carnage talking here to some people. GC2F guy, what was your question? Sorry, my feed keeps buffering down. GC2F guy saying they're upset about Gamescom. Yeah, it looks like Gamescom is not going to happen. We're going to go for 10 more minutes, everyone. We're at 50 minutes. I always like to go, I think right at an hour is a perfect cutoff point. So 10 more minutes of the stream. But yeah, it looks like Gamescom's a no-go. So Germany just announced no large-scale gatherings through August, and Gamescom's like 350,000 plus people. So yeah, looks like Gamescom is not happening this year. You know, I sent out a tweet, and part of the tweet was saying that, you know, I'm excited to see when publishers are going to start dropping these digital events. You know, Square Enix have talked about how they're going to do it. WB have talked about how they're going to do it. So I'm interested because there's basically no show floors to do it anymore, right? There's no E3, there's no Gamescom. So yeah, they're going to have to like really start talking on digital storefronts, or I mean digital platforms, because there's no events. There's no events to go to. The Practical Bro. How many publishers do you think will opt in for smart delivery for Xbox Series X ports of current gen games? I think a pretty good amount, Practical Bro, because I think you're going to have a really hard time selling people on patches next gen. You know, a lot of people got away with it this gen early on doing remasters where it was basically the exact same game with higher resolution. You know, I think that's going to be way harder to do next gen. I just do. I think that since we've seen like backwards compatibility get so much focus on Xbox this gen, you know, that's been a really big focus for them. You have PlayStation now talking about backwards compatibility for the PS5. I just think that I expect most publishers that are going to enhance their games are just going to do the smart delivery method instead of charging twice, because I think you're going to have people not do it. Like, honestly, I don't think it's going to go well. I think if you try to charge next gen, you're going to have people either just straight up not paying for it or like loudly complaining. My knee grows 69. Okay, I'm not going to read that comment. Elias saying, amazing live stream like always, Benji. Thank you, Elias. Thank you for being so kind. Zero the Silent Hero. How long do you think the Final Fantasy VII Remake release gap is going to be between parts? 2 to 3 years? What if Square Enix pulls a pro gamer move and somehow gets it in annually? I don't expect annual. My guess right now is 3 years. I think it's going to be 3. And I've seen some people be like, well, does that mean you think that Final Fantasy 16 is not going to come out for like 10 years? No, 16 is already actually well under development. I can't talk anymore about that, but 16 is already in development, and it's not the same team that does Final Fantasy 7. So 16, I actually think you'll probably are going to see announced pretty soon. Honestly, I think you'll see 16 announced probably in the next year. But I think that 3 years for part 2. I think 1 year between them is almost impossible. And 2 years would be a heck of a stretch, especially by Square Enix standards. You know, they take a while to make games. So my guess is 3 years, because they've already got some of the assets made, right? They don't have to like completely make a new Cloud, a new, you know, the characters, like they already have the basics there for the models. They already have a lot of models and stuff they can use in the next one. So I'm going to say 3 years. Matt Duffy. Hey, Benji, big fan. Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much. Just wanted to know what you thought about Tony versus Gaethje. MMA question, fun. Why do you think Tony would take that risky fight when he has so much leverage right now? Why not wait for Khabib? Thanks. I'll go over this quick because I know not everyone that watches my feed are MMA fans. A lot of you are just gamers, but I do like talk MMA, so I'll make it really quick. I think it's a mistake, Matt. I don't think Tony should fight Gaethje. I think he should wait for Khabib. That's the fight. That's the money fight. That's the big fight. Him versus Justin would do well. You know, that's an exciting fight. I don't think anyone would think that Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson would be boring. That would be like the most shocking thing in the world to me if that was a boring fight. You're talking about two of the most exciting fighters that there are. So excitement would be fun, but dude, just wait, Tony. Just wait. You versus Khabib is the fight. Why risk it? And he would make a lot more money on the Khabib fight because he'd get a pay-per-view cut, and that's going to sell a lot of things. So yeah, quick answer there for you. But Matt, I think he shouldn't take the Justin fight. Elias Stapleton, do you think that in the IGN event in June will be PS5 and Series X games, interviews, etc.? Yeah, I definitely think so, Elias. I don't think that's going to be the main spot for it because I think Sony and Microsoft are going to have their own separate event. But I definitely think you'll see next-gen, especially third-party next-gen games. I don't know how many first-party games you'll see at that IGN event because I think Microsoft and Sony will just kind of want to showcase their own stuff at their own event, but you'll definitely see some third-party next-gen games there. Musad Muhammad, any thoughts on the rumors of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core coming to Switch? Ooh, that's cool. I actually didn't know that, Muhammad, but it would be awesome. Any chance for more people to get to play that would be cool, and it would make sense timing-wise, right? Especially if it's soon. You have all the excitement out there for Remake right now. That putting just something Final Fantasy VII related on the Switch seems like a good idea. So I think it's a smart move, Musad, if they do that. Zero the Silent Hero. Also, is the Final Fantasy VII Remake time exclusivity for just this part or the entire project? We've talked about that a bit before. Unknown. Square Enix have not commented on that at all. Sony haven't commented on that at all. Who knows? Who knows? You know, I think if I had to guess, complete guess, folks, I think that the next parts will not have this exclusivity. I think unless Sony makes, money offer, you got to put the money involved in there too. So I'm going to guess, which I'm sure they did for the first part too. But the question is does Sony think, that paying for the 1-year exclusivity for every single part is worth it? Or did they think it was really worth it getting the first one? I'm going to guess not. I'm going to guess it's going to be multi-platform right off the bat for the next parts of it. But it's not impossible, but Sony's going to have to definitely spend some money, if you know what I'm saying. They're going to have to drop some cash to make that happen. A little bit of argument going on in the chat. Let's try to keep it calm. Let's try and keep it respectful, everyone. Let's try and keep it calm. Carlos, I hope Sucker Punch continues Sly after Ghost of Tsushima. Carlos, that'd be cool. I think if Sly ever happens again, it won't be by Sucker Punch. Just because they seem all in on Ghost now, and then they did, the Infamous games. I think you'd be more likely to see another Infamous game from Sucker Punch than you are a Sly game. I don't think Sly coming back is impossible, but I don't think Sucker Punch will make it. Maybe somebody else. All right. Baiko Ciaris here. Hello, Benji. Having seen PS5's DualSense, do you think the console's design will have this futuristic look? I do. And also, does the look of a console play a role? To gaining sales of the casual audience? That's a fun question. So the first part, do I think that the DualSense is reflective of the console? Yes. I'm going to guess it's going to have a futuristic vibe to it. I don't think it'll be like too crazy, like just some totally bizarre design, but I think they are going to try and keep this like sleek, semi-futuristic vibe to it. So yes, I do think that. As part of your other question, does the look play a role in sales? Not necessarily, like not particularly, but here's one thing I will say. It is good for marketing. It's good for getting people talking. Like, let's even look at the Series X. You had a lot of people talking about the shape of that console. And just by talking about the shape, it looks like a tower, that's just getting buzz out there, right? It's getting people talking about your console. So it does play a part in marketing for sure. How much that translates to direct sales, I wouldn't say like a massive amount, but it is a good thing for marketing. Having a unique look does get people talking. How do I ban somebody? Somebody's dropping some weird that user's going in timeout. Sorry. I deleted their post. Sorry about that. I'm going to have to start getting a mod in here. So yeah, I'm going to have to start looking at getting mods. I didn't used to have to do this, but I guess as my following is getting bigger, you're going to start getting some trolls. Not something I used to have to worry about, but you know, as the platform grows, it's going to be a thing. Carlos saying they completed yesterday Final Fantasy VII and they loved it. Yeah, I'll let you know. Sorry, everyone, about the person that was posting weird stuff. I'm gonna try and I'm gonna have to make sure I get a mod in here next time. It's a bummer. It's got to come to that, but it is what it is. Sorry, you guys had to read that. It takes me a while to get through the chat, so I will start talking to people and make sure I have a mod ready to go to start just instant banning people and stuff. All right. Avery saying, I'm going to take these questions and then I'm going to wrap it since we're at an hour. Avery Cope, when do you think we'll get some real Animal Crossing numbers and some real Switch numbers? That's a great question, Avery. Nintendo, even though that Switch and Animal Crossing are on fire, I mean nuclear fire, Nintendo has not done PR. I think that's because of the environment we're in right now with the pandemic. I think Nintendo just have kind of not felt like doing PR. You know, we saw Capcom do it, but I think Nintendo specifically just doesn't want to do PR for that kind of stuff right now. I think with all the other stuff going on in the world. So I think we'll hear something semi soon, but when exactly, not sure. At the very latest, we'll have a good idea about some stuff with NPD whenever those numbers come in, which is going to be next week on Tuesday, I believe. So we'll hear something here pretty soon. In terms of like global PR from Nintendo, not sure. They might time it with NPD. Kyle Borchardt here. Hi, Benji. In your heart of hearts, do you think The Last of Us comes out sometime this summer? I do, Kyle. I talked about that earlier. I think late summer, maybe like July, August kind of time frame. Zero the Silent Hero. Battlefield is fiscal 22, October 21st, probably. Thanks, Zero. Yep. Okay, so that makes sense. So yeah, no Battlefield at launch. The Practical Bro, actually, CD Projekt Red has said that Cyberpunk won't be there at launch. Oh, I missed that. I didn't realize they said no, not at launch. Carlos saying new Ratchet. Yeah, I think so. Legendary saying Forza 8. Awesome. Ruger, not a question, but whoever directed the cutscenes in Final Fantasy VII Remake deserves a raise. Dude, they look good. They've directed so well. It's film-like, maybe the most lavish cutscenes I've seen in a video game. They're definitely up there, Ruger. The presentation in general on Final Fantasy VII Remake's amazing. You know, there's these weird... anyone who's played it, you've seen there's like random sections of the game that just don't look near as good as other sections of the game. And why that happened, I have no idea. Like, no idea. I don't know if it's a situation where they ran out of time and this was areas they planned on going back and polishing or what. To me, it doesn't like ruin the game or anything like that. Mostly, the vast majority of the time, Final Fantasy VII Remake looks gorgeous, especially the cutscenes. But yeah, there are these like weird random quality dips, but I don't know what's going on with that. Wonder Fizz saying, I'm excited to see Playground's take on Fable. Oh, me too. Me too. Hyped for it. I know it's a rumor, but it's all but confirmed at this point. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I am excited for that as well. Benji saying, can we expect the Switch to pass the 100 million mark? Absolutely. I think there's not a doubt in my mind Switch hits 100 million consoles sold anymore. Not a doubt in my mind. When it will hit it, not sure, but put it this way, for the Switch to not hit 100 million, it's going to have the steepest decline of any console basically ever. It's going to have to just fall off a cliff in sales, which I don't see any reason why it would do that. So 100 million, Benji, to me seems basically a lock. And then Benji again. So if Grand Theft Auto 6 is the next Rockstar game, which is exactly what it is, as Jason Schreier reported today, what is going on with the non-Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead games? Max Payne, Bully, L.A. Noire. Great question. I've been thinking Bully is probably real. There's been like rumors about Bully for a while. Maybe Bully's not happening though. I thought it was. My thinking was that they were going to maybe do Bully 2 finally next, and it would be a smaller project, like not I don't think Bully 2 would have ever been the size of a project of a Red Dead or a Grand Theft Auto. So I thought maybe they're going to do like this nice, smaller, thing that doesn't take as much, work to get out and make a lot of fans happy. I thought it was going to be Bully 2 next and then Grand Theft Auto 6. But it doesn't look that way, at least from the reporting. It looks like they're already starting work on the next Grand Theft Auto. So it's a good question, Benji. I'm not sure. Not sure if Max Payne, Bully, or LA Noire coming back or not. Sino saying, hello, Benji, my boy. Hello, what is up, Sino? Or Sino? Rick Grayson, any light at the end of the Switch scarcity issues? Yes, I probably. From what I'm saying, I think David Gibson, me and him were having a conversation on Twitter about this, and he was saying that from what he's seen, he is great, by the way. He's super kind and very smart on Twitter. He was saying from what he's seen, late April, like the very end of April, is when we could probably expect the next big Switch shipments. So light at the end of the tunnel, I would say, Rick, but probably not still for another week or so, not until the very end of the month. Benji here again. There were some rumors about a joint Microsoft Sega announcement in June. Have you heard anything? I have not. Could this be the next Microsoft acquisition? I've not heard anything about it, and I would say probably not, because Sega would be a huge purchase. Huge. Would it be impossible? No. Microsoft's one of the richest companies on earth. They can afford just about anyone if they really wanted to. Like if they really, really wanted to, they could. But that's such a big purchase. It's hard for me to imagine they would buy Sega. Could they have a joint announcement about an exclusive game? I think that's actually definitely possible, especially because Phil Spencer said they have multiple third-party exclusive deals in the works. So, I could see them having Sega making an exclusive game for them, but them buying them seems, far-fetched. It does seem far-fetched because that price tag's huge. But it'd be crazy. Just a couple questions here. We're going to end the chat. Benji, it's been more than 3 years since the release of the Switch and no price cut in sight. When could we expect one? Late 2020? Has it been this long for a console before? I don't think 2020 at all, Benji. It's selling too well. I think you'll see price promotions probably this November and December. You might see it drop $50 for a limited time, something like that. But I honestly don't think it gets a single price cut this whole year unless sales start dropping drastically, because as of now, it's still selling incredible and it's still at its launch price. In terms of has it been this long for a console before, I don't think since launch. The PlayStation 4 has gone a very long time without a price cut. But 3 years from launch, has there ever been a console that didn't get a price cut? I don't think so. Could be off on that. I may be misremembering something, but I don't think there's a console that's gone 3 full years from launch and never got a price cut. I don't think so. That Practical Bro saying, bye, Benji. See ya. Skyfox saying, how well did Final Fantasy VII Remake sell? I can't go into it more than what's public, which is that in Germany, it's already shipped 100,000 units basically at launch. Physical sales in Germany, or shipments in Germany, were 100,000 units right off the bat. UK physical was half of Final Fantasy VII 15 or Final Fantasy 15, but there's more to the story than that, which we'll go into later once it becomes public. And that's it. That's all I can talk about. Can't talk about Japan yet. And US, there's not a lot to talk about yet. Eric, I'm really looking forward to close to no load times on next-gen consoles. Agreed. Ever since Sony shared information on their new SSD, I couldn't help but notice the poor load times. Yeah, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge, and it's going to help big open world games have better textures and stuff, because you're going to be able to load things in way faster loading. So it's really going to be advantageous for games with very large environments. It's going to help all games, period. But games that really want to expand their scope, that need to process a lot of loading really, really fast. These kinds of games, it's going to be a huge boon for stuff like that. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap the chat. Thanks everyone for jumping in. As always, I love doing these chats. It wasn't a super exciting news week, but there was a few things to talk about. So hope everyone had fun. I know I did. As always, if you like the video, make sure you hit that like button. It helps the channel out, and subscribe if you haven't. Yeah, and we're going to call a chat there. I'm probably not going to do another one this week unless some big news comes out the next couple days. Unless something big happens on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, this will probably be the only chat for the week because there's not a ton of news out there. But if something crazy happens, we'll do another chat this weekend or something. Otherwise, I'll see you all next week, okay? So I'll see you all on Twitter or in the next live chat. Thanks, everyone, and I will see you next time. Peace. Stay safe. Play some games.